prospectively going to be. You know, a new camera, new microphones, a digital camera, not something that runs off of tape, ultimately turning into the server that you can end up programming content, so you can, the commission can end up making recommendations for how to schedule the programs that will be on there. The commission can make recommendations as to how you end up creating the TV guide so that people can know what to anticipate coming on. I mean, all that kind of stuff, as a body, they can come to a consensus that's in the best interest of the station.
Right, but as far as how the station's going to run, who's going to run it,
Well, if
those are
they
gonna
make
be-
the recommendation and Ted's group ends up being the providers of actually showing stuff. The commission has fulfilled its role. It's made the recommendations as an advisory body.
We haven't had a second.
no, I had a question. Yeah, I had a question. I just want to make sure before I understand what the commission's about.
Joe?
Yeah, ultimately, I just want to say I agree with with the sentiments of what was stated by the citizens of this community. Ultimately, I see if we set up a commission, it's just going to lead to more taxpayers' dollars being spent, potentially wasted. I say potentially. We have a very good system right now, and if this does go before a vote, I will vote no to set up a commission.
I guess
Harv.
everyone else has weighed in, let me weigh in. I'm not going to second the motion, but I am not totally opposed to the commission. I think it's premature.
Thank you.
We may find that the commission at some point in time is exactly what we need.
Exactly.
And at that time, I'm happy to support it. I think we still need some more information. I don't know who owns all the equipment that's in that back room over there. I don't know who owns the cameras that you use to film football games and parades. All I know is that we have this asset that belongs to the city called this cable, Channel 19. Please, I need some more information. I need to know who owns what, who's obligated to do what, who's willing to do what, and who or what group should oversee the entire process. So for me, the request would be a request for information more than a request for proposals. And if there's any groups out there who have the information that we need, or that have some specific thoughts about how to improve the content and the quality of SLC TV, I'd like to hear it, and I'd like to have that as part of the body of information that we use to look at that. So I think leaving this item open and up for further discussion and gathering further information is what we need to do. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Again, I still would use any kind of programming appropriate, made by people that think they want to be involved. This is a good practice ground right now, and exposure and the whole bit. And then you may find out how hard it is. For instance, like the Easter hunt parade, or it wasn't a parade, it was the Easter hunt with the kids. It was 14 minutes long. Took 5 hours to make, between editing and filming and so forth. So you get the idea, it takes a heck of a lot to make any kind of program. And that was done with digital camera. Anything else? Okay, we move on to the employee buyout.
Lieutenant Sharp approached me about perhaps letting him retire early if we were to give him a lump sum of money, which would enable him to retire early. So we negotiated a price of that lump sum and talked to Lloyd about how we would fill that position. What we would do is we would fill the lieutenant's position from the sergeant's ranks. We would replace a sergeant through the officer ranks and then not replace an officer. excuse me, this would give the city substantial savings this fiscal year. It would take care of, we would see a savings that equal or better than equal the amount we would be paying out. Then for next year, we would see a very substantial savings. And we would see that savings continuing on until at some point in time, if and when the city were to hire another police officer. It's basically that simple, that one lump sum payout would not go towards the FAC or the final average compensation for figuring out his MERS pension. We will make sure of that. I've worked with the attorney to get all those documents. We've worked with Lieutenant Sharp to make sure that he was aware of the things that we were going to have him sign off on, to make sure that we were held harmless. So we've come to this agreement. Now I'm bringing it to council to ask you to approve this agreement, simply so that we can basically save a lot of tax dollars.
Harvey,
When would it take place? I didn't, or did I miss that?
No, sir, you did not. I want it to take place as soon as possible, so the end of this payroll
Pay period.
period is the 16th, so that would be the day, his last day of employment with the city, if it's approved by the council.
Thank you.
And we, like I say, we would see the savings by the end of the fiscal year, which would be June 30th. In fact, we would see more than that.
5 times more the next year.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Joe?
I think this is very good. Thank you, Mr. Murphy. One quick question.
Sir.
Do you think that we'll see any increase in overtime with having being one officer short?
I would defer to the chief on that.
I don't anticipate any significant increase in overtime. The plan is to go from the current 2 officers assigned as detectives down to 1 officer assigned as a detective, with the thought being that the new lieutenant would pick up any slack that would be created or any extra work in the detective bureau. Now, there might be those rare occasions where I would have a circuit court case going. At the same time, I have a district court case going and need 2 detectives in 2 places. Most of the time, the new lieutenant could do that. There might be an occasion where they can't. Or if I have a major investigation, I might have to pull more officers in, where normally I would have already had 2 detectives. Or I might need 3, so instead of just pulling in 1, I might have to pull in 2. But the short answer to that question is not a significant increase in overtime.
Thank you.
Well, I'll make the motion that we approve the agreement with Lieutenant Sharp.
I'll second.
Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Mr. Mayor, before you move on, if I could make a suggestion that the suggested motion or recommended motion be used to authorize further negotiation and finalization of the documents between the parties.
So amended?
Back at you, Mike.
As amended.
Still supported.
And further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
It's not what he actually wanted.
Thank you.
Managers report.
I want to let you know that I will be at pre-conference, Capital Conference, which is the MML's annual conference up in Lansing. Tomorrow, I should be back around 3, and then on Wednesday, I will be there all day. Last Tuesday, my computer died. While I was gone for a few days, the company didn't bother to tell me that the hard drive was completely dead, and they could have had a new computer in here for me on Monday, but they didn't do that, so I found out this morning that it was completely dead, and I need a new computer. So they're in the process of getting me a new computer. I've taken the hard drive down to a place in Livonia to see if they can't salvage some of the documentation off of it. The thing I'm most worried about is my budget. We have the budget on the G drive, but this year we decided we would make, or I would make all the changes to it and keep it on my C drive so we didn't have 10 different budgets on the G drive. Unfortunately, I didn't back up my C drive to anything, so I've lost that. I had all the resolutions on it, I had everything ready to go, so it's gonna be just a little bit longer. So I'm trying to get it recovered. If I can't, I have a I have one that I'll just have to utilize and make all the changes to. And so it's going to be a little longer than I thought. So I do apologize for that. Other than that, I just want to say go blue. Thank you.
Yeah. And Bev? Mike?
Yeah, our next rec center meeting is April 15th at the South Lyon City Hall. It's at 7 PM. The public is invited, and I hope everyone can attend.
Drop your taxes off at the mailbox and
Sure.
proceed.
That's right. Thank you.
What was that date again?
April 15th. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, Harvey?
I'm good, thank you very much.
Go ahead.
What time?
Over the weekend, I received a phone call from South Lyon PD. The "A Child is Missing" site was referenced. There was a 50-year-old man had gone missing, and sort of a light description, to keep your eyes open. If you see him, contact South Lyon PD. I thought that was a real nice way to distribute information. It kind of harkened back to, I don't know if it's called reverse 911 or whatever, but when the little girl had been abducted and was saved over at, LYon's building over there. And, that was another one of those phone broadcast kind of things in the middle of the night. But I think that's a great tool to be able to, is that something that you can target specific areas, or is that citywide?
That's one of 3 mechanisms we have for that type of communication. And reverse 911 and A Child is Missing each have slightly different capabilities. And I'm not sure how narrowly they can tailor it. Probably one can narrow it more than another. But when we're talking about citywide and we're talking about 4 square miles, there's probably not a whole lot of difference in the number of people that the calls would go out to. For that same incident, we also put out a NIXL alert
NIXL,
to include a picture of the individual. And for anybody that doesn't know, he was a voluntary missing, had just broken from his normal routine, didn't show up for work, didn't show up for church. That caused concern to a lot of people because of the gentleman's status, and while there was no problem, there was legitimate concern, and that was the reason for the notifications.
And then, of course, the
But everything
follow-up
turned
there,
out
everything was all right.
fine. We located him. Actually, we located him based on a call from, I believe, one of the NIXL alerts. A citizen saw him down at the Speedway station, and then we were able to find out that there had not been a problem to begin with. He just was out of town with someone.
I would point out, I had the pleasure of doing my taxes when the phone call came in, so I was already online, and I went to the site, and when I pulled that up, I wasn't able to pull Michigan, and when I finally tracked down Michigan, there were 3 recent events or something like that, and this wasn't one of them. So I don't know if, and it's very difficult when you don't have a writing utensil with you when you're listening to this message to write down an email address that might have something specific to, being able to find that information. But nonetheless, I thought, if nothing else, it made me mindful that keep my eyes peeled, for someone that fit that description. I thought that was really good.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Aaron?
I'm good, thank you.
Joe?
No comments, thank you.
Okay, quickly here, the Easter egg hunt was a huge success. It was so much fun to hear hundreds and hundreds, if not 1,000 kids screaming and yelling and charging out there, and enthusiasm. Wish you can get them to pick up garbage that fast, but it was certainly a clean and fun thing for the kids to do, and the Kiwanis Club should be saluted for their efforts in organizing that and getting funding from different groups. Farmers Market's growing. Debbie in our department here is working hard on that. She's claiming that there's 30 vendors now, and so I think that's pretty neat. Hopefully that will be successful on the Saturdays starting May 4th. And I too will say, go blue, and go Big Ten. And for that, I'd like to have a call for adjournment.
I move we adjourn.